Hello everyone, welcome to Chat Club. I'm your host as always, Alan Hilchey. And there's only one rule in Chat Club. Everybody talks about Chat Club. Welcome everyone, today is going to be episode number 24. I'm going to be talking about Dungeons & Dragons and the benefits for your mental health challenges. And this goes for anxiety, depression, eating disorders, a lot of various mental health challenges. So I want you to sit back, relax, have an open mind. I put a lot of energy into this podcast, and I really hope you enjoy the benefits of this podcast. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. So we're going to start back in the 1980s, early 90s. So Dungeons & Dragons was not a common thing. It was frowned upon by a lot of the community, especially in the religious community where they talked about the fantasy game being anti-psychotic, anti-religion, and different things. And that's because they had demons and gods into the game, which had absolutely no reflection in the game or the base itself. They took it upon themselves as a scapegoat because there was some suicides that happened in the 80s and 90s that they had attributed to Dungeons & Dragons, which they later come find out that had nothing to do with Dungeons & Dragons. It had to do with the person's mental health or what they had going on in their life. So their claims of Dungeons & Dragons was absolutely false. It was just the unknown and being scared of something that they had no idea of. Make sense? Absolutely. Now today, Dungeons & Dragons has taken millions upon millions of players. D&Dbeyond has made a scope where it's digital, so it's very accessible with their electronic devices, rules, and regulations. The thing I like about 5e Dungeons & Dragons is very simple to play. After years of not playing, I started to play again 2 years ago, and I picked up where I left off. I started to understand the rules, and D&Dbeyond does a beautiful job putting the descriptions in and understanding your character, showing you what you need to do to be successful and to do different things, which I really enjoy. Now, with the mental health aspect, I enjoy it because I'm out with my friends, and you get to seclude yourself outside the house, go into some different realm, and you have a dungeon master who is the person that controls the game, has a campaign or a setting or a module or set his own campaign just around basically doing what he feels to get the story and to get the enjoyment out of the game. DMs are the mastercrafts behind the story, like the narrator. So basically Dungeons & Dragons, through the dungeon master, he or she, basically they make a story. It could be surrounded around the characters or missions or however they twist their certain campaign. Campaigns call a story, basically. It's when you're into the ongoing story, basically, in a campaign. That's what it means when you hear the word campaign. So when I started to play, reintegrated back to a group, I was very lucky to hit it home with a bunch of individuals. A person I know and people I come to meet and now are friends because of the result of myself taking myself out of my element, my safety net, putting myself out there, getting into a group once a week or twice a week to go out for 3 or 4 hours to go do Dungeons & Dragons. So you have dice and you roll on different things, and there's a lot of things surrounded by it. D&Dbeyond and D&D Wizards of the Coast have come out with some different packets that help out beginners. Like there's a starter set, there's an essential set. There's to get yourself just into the game to see if you like it. They have Stranger Things, the show, action module. If you watch Stranger Things, they have D&D has reinvented the module from Stranger Things to be a storyline. So, I mean, there's a lot of different things. Like, there's so much detail and incredible written stuff about the campaign and very detailed pictures and whatnot. And what I really enjoy about Dungeons & Dragons is the simple fact is you sit down with a bunch of friends and you play this and you have fun. And sometimes you're not even playing the game. You're just having fun. It's the interaction, the social connection that you have that helps with your mental illness or anxiety or whatever. And there's a lot of literature on there that talks about the anxiety and how it reduces it because you're into an element. You don't have to overplay it. Everything is done for you with the electronics. So when I get into basically the campaign and stuff, It's a lot of fun. So going back to the online digital, now D&D Beyond has put an app out there and a webpage that you can buy books, you can make your characters online, which that's the most frustrating part. And you can make a character within 2 minutes, which is pretty cool. And you can adjust it to wherever you see fit. And now you'll need people to help you out or experienced players. But once you get the hang of it, a lot of fun. So what the COVID-19 has put a lot of these games on hold, Dungeons & Dragons. But don't despair, folks. Don't despair. Because there is many online apps that include voice chat and different things. Like there's Discord that everyone uses for gaming. You can use that. There's a Roll20 app that essentially does Dungeons & Dragons and basically has it, it puts your character out there. It puts little icons so you're on a map and you're going to different places. So when battles ensue, you can put your character in movement and placement. So this online thing has replaced it because of the COVID and people could not go out and play. So the better option is you stay at home, you be safe, and you turn around and you play on Roll20 or Table Shard. And there's many other role-playing online. And there's other different games that are role-playing games like Pathfinder, etc. I like Dungeons & Dragons. I always have, always will. Pathfinder I may try down the future, but who knows. So regardless of your ability not to go out, you can still stay in with Roll20. You can still have a conversation. You can roll online. Not real happy with the rolls that Roll20 gives me a high percentage of the time. But nevertheless, you're still playing and you're laughing. Sometimes you really screw your rolls up and you laugh about that. Or if something happens to a character. There's a lot of enjoyment in it. People use their mind. You have to figure out puzzles and different stuff. So this is basically the mental health aspect. Dungeons & Dragons and D&D Beyond has, since the pandemic started in February, they have also put out numerous packs called the Quarantine to help people have something to do when they're at home. So you can basically play this. You don't really need a Roll20. You can do it on Zoom or you can do it however you see fit because it's your game. You do what you want. But it's so flexible. So you can play on Discord, Zoom, or whatever. You have to trust your players' rolls because some players like to fudge them up or re-roll, whatever. It's no biggie. It's all for fun anyway. And I always take my rolls at face value. Some of them I don't really like, but it is what it is. But it's a lot of fun. You get to create a character. You get to grow with the character. You get to level with the character. You take new feats. You take new spells. There's a lot of unique things, magic items, that come into play. And I really enjoy the game. Getting back to the online stuff again, I'm so passionate because I really enjoy this stuff, folks. And I don't mean to sound like I'm a little kid, but it is my little kid place. But when we get back to Dungeons & Dragons Online, you can basically do this on Discord. You can do it in any kind of chat, Skype, or whatever. And you can use Roll20. You don't have to. Roll20 does cost money. Table Shard right now is in beta, which doesn't cost money. You have to have the Dungeon Master really has to know their computer stuff to make it fun and to make it different variances. So why is D&D so good for mental health? Well, there's a lot of things around Dungeons & Dragons that makes it so much easier. I mean, all you have to do is pick up a pencil, paper, and dice, and you go. It's very low functional. You just don't have to over-prepare yourself. The biggest thing about when you go to these group things is the anxiety level of getting into a group and the structure and how is it going to play out. And really, I mean, if you get into a bunch of people that you know already, your anxiety should be a little lower and it should be, your happy place. And just go with the flow. In reality, you end up crafting your own character and your own, fantasy portrayal. I mean, you can portray any character. There's different alignments that you can be: good, evil, bad, neutral. A lot of various things you can do with Dungeons & Dragons. So, I mean, sky's the limit when you're getting into it. But I know there's a lot of literature online that talks about Dungeons and Dragons. It is a tabletop role-playing game. Started in 1974. So when you're getting into it, you can use miniatures like on a board and stuff, and you can paint your characters up, and you can do a lot of different things. I mean, a lot of these things. I mean, you can have a character after the Game of Thrones, one of those characters, or Lord of the Rings, or any fantasy movie. I mean, you can basically alter your character whatever way you want, name it. There's different races, which I kind of laugh. There's different races, different variants, and there's so much literature in it. It's good to read. So, playing, the benefits of why. And there's a lot of articles online right now where mental health, there is actually children that are playing Dungeons and Dragons. And it's really helped them with social interaction, to play as a team member, to do a lot of things together. So basically, some of the possible mental health benefits of D&D are Dungeons and Dragons. Improve social skills with peers. Increase your self-esteem, your self-confidence, the ability to express yourself and your needs assertively. Basically, you can go out and get what you want and talk to the DM one-on-one. Improve impulse control and practice with turn taking. Because when you're in a battle, everyone has to take their turn. Whoever rolls the highest dice, which is called initiative, gets to roll, and then that person gets to go first. So you have to wait till that person's done. So it shows a little bit of structure and a little orderly. So what makes Dungeons and Dragons work so well in therapy? So I was stating that there's a lot of people that are using D&D for therapy as well. It's rather than competing against each other, it's more of a player, like you're a together thing. So it helps with that. Playing as a character who is different than yourself allows you to literally see the world through someone else's eyes, basically. Because the game is a role-playing game, it's a great way to try out new things of interacting with other people in a low-stakes, fun environment. Because you got nothing to lose how you interact. Playing games tends to help people bond and build friendships, which I absolutely think D&D provides a structured way to let people know and make them feel less awkward without making small talk with a stranger. So, I mean, there's a lot of things around it. So, I mean, a lot of D&D players have an unlimited creative freedom, and it can be very liberating. Can you imagine being a 1,000-year-old elf sorcerer with purple hair and a different kind of pet, a mongoose pet, or whatever? But you can do it in D&D, and that's the sort of thing that happens. So how does a D&D therapy work a session? Typically, you just check in with the participants, talk out of character, connect with each other before the game. It's a great time to share about how your week has gone, share about anything that's happened that might be relevant to your group's goals. Once everyone is settled in, the actual part of the game really starts, and then the session begins. So a therapist can sit there and actually keep an eye on the progress of everything. So when you're playing in a group. So, I mean, that's a therapy that's being done. And the D&D session can take as long as 1 hour or several hours. Assuming that it's safe, and it's not getting out of hand, then you can do that. So there's a lot of people that are using therapy for mental health and, people that are borderline, different mental health. Now, I know there's a lot of articles on there that helps with mental health. And another thing that can help with is your character can be your own hero. A hero that you can do things that you normally don't do. Things that you can create your own character with help from a DM. And you build your character on the rules of the game. And the dice and just the merit of your actions is negative or positive is attributed to your rolls on your dice. So basically, this also helps you escape from reality just for a few hours to give you a reset, reboot, recharge. Generally, when you get into these type of games, it's a positive environment right off the go because you're coming in, you're excited. Oh, we did this last week. Now we got to do this, and we got this message, or I got to talk to this person. because usually it kind of ends on a cliffhanger sometimes in a game, which is absolutely awesome, and it's enjoyable. And it's a really fun time, really excitable. So the social contact is a huge thing with mental health and anxiety and different things that you're going through. It's the social, contact that you have with people. It's not work related. It's not family related. You're just out with a bunch of people playing Dungeons & Dragons, which is absolutely awesome. Creative outlet. Very creative. You're using your mind all the time. So you're not thinking about like how anxious you are or this and that. You're just going through the motions, doing certain stuff. There's certain puzzles. The DM may have puzzles or different things or riddles you may have to. And it's fun because you get, some people come up with the most weirdest answer. And I'm one of those guys that just comes out and says something and I'm thinking, and then everybody laughs. So, everybody understands that when you're coming in, no one is an expert playing it. And some people just are a little better because they played more. So, and that's the biggest thing. And when you talk about, I'm going to go back to kids here because it come up again. Coming up with playing, it helps kids develop a social network, teamwork, different things. And it gives them sort of reality to get out of the real world. Because we don't really know what's going on with kids. And basically there's a lot of benefits to it. Like cognitive behavior therapy in the role playing. The cognitive being you have to role play out. And then just reserve your role and your character, development. And, at times you have to do a conflict resolution in the game. Instead of fighting, you have to talk your way out of it. So there's certain skills that you have to do. And the biggest thing is taking the practical approach to problem solving. So you're problem solving and you have to figure it out. And you have to actually verbally do this. And a part of the game, you kind of forget that you're on the spot. Sometimes your anxiety will get up a little bit, but you'll get better as you go because, this is going to help. So cognitive behavior therapy is shown effectively to treat people managing a variety of mental illnesses. That includes depression, various types of anxiety, phobias, post-traumatic stress, sleep disorders, eating disorders, obsessive compulsive disorders, substance abuse disorders, bipolar disorders, and schizophrenia are among a lot of these that they use D&D to help out with this. So it's kind of a creative way to help out with therapy, and it's kind of a fun way to do this sort of thing. So if you're looking for something to do besides the dungeon, Dungeons & Dragons is a great way to go. And there's so much information on the internet, and you can actually listen to podcasts. And you start to understand, and there's books written about Dungeons & Dragons. So if you like literature, there's Dritch Jordan, Forgotten Realms. There's a lot of various literature out there in Dungeons & Dragons. And you can give that a read before you even try it. But what a great way to get with friends. A great way to, have a good time without spending a lot of money. I mean, you spend for the books, but if you all pitch in as a group and you do it digitally, like that's what I've done. Through my friends and we've basically on D&Dbeyond have purchased a lot of the books together, and we get the Dungeon Master tier, which I get, and everyone helps me. They get access to all the books, so you're sharing the benefits basically. So if the Dungeon Master gets all the books, you can create your characters through that, and on your device you can have it on you all the time where you're doing certain things. So you don't even really need to write stuff down or anything. You can play it through your electronic devices, which is absolutely fantastic. I really enjoy this type of game. Dungeons & Dragons has got me through a lot of hard times when I was younger. And the last couple of years that I've reconnected and started to play again, it's also helped me with a lot of things. And I think it's helped me with my anxiety, and it's helped me with various things because you get to understand and start to figure out that there's worse things in the world. And, looking forward to playing D&D every week, and you have to set a schedule. Sometimes you don't. So, basically, Dungeons & Dragons has been my whole life. I've only reconnected. I played when I was in grade 6, I think, all the way to high school, a little bit out of high school. And then Basically, I picked it up I think in 2018, I started to play. So I'm approaching on my 2 years here. So I think actually 3 years. So the group that I play with, I just started playing about a year and a half ago, I think. Great group of people. I mean, we have so many different individuals. I have a coworker that plays with me. There's a pastor that plays in our group. There's a couple guys that work for federal government that play, and we have a guy that's I think he does programming, software engineering through. I probably got it wrong, so if he's listening to this, I apologize. Don't want to say their names because I'd like to keep their anonymity, keep their names out of it, because I really don't have permission. So I'm going to review some of the things, some possible mental health benefits of Dungeons & Dragons. Improve social skills with peers, increase self-esteem and self-confidence, ability to express yourself and your needs to assertively get things done, improving your impulse control and practice with turn-taking, stronger creative thinking and problem-solving skills. And being a dungeon master is a great way to get your creativity and your juices, because there's so many nicks and crannies now. I wasn't a dungeon master until I started this year, I think, earlier this year. And I didn't think I had the ability to do it, and I had a lot of anxiety to try it. But I have such a excellent group of guys, so if a rule comes into play, they say, well, I think it's this way, and I'd look it up, and they were right a lot of times. And you have experienced guys, and it's all on how you deliver your message. Deliver it, I think this is the rule, and everybody wants to play by the rules, and nobody wants to make their own rules. So basically, I turned out, and I think I did pretty good as a dungeon master. I really enjoyed it, and I've really enjoyed this podcast. It's brought a sense of an expression for me, and something that I do passionately and really enjoy. And there's a lot of people that look at you play Dungeons & Dragons. Yeah, I do, and I'm proud of it. And another thing I want to talk about is I am going to do a podcast called Session Zero, and I'm going to get a group of guys that I play with and actually do Dungeons & Dragons and record them and put them online, just so people can listen to us be strange and goofy in creative ways and basically enjoy what we do. And you can hear it, and sometimes you can just hear it as background noise, but it's a lot of fun to listen to podcasts, especially in that nature where it's fun orientated. So that's one thing I'm going to do. Another thing I'm going to have a shout out to D&Dbeyond, because they're a fabulous organization. We recently, with Session Zero, we're also doing a convention on December 5th at the Rod in Miramichi, New Brunswick. We're allowed to do this with the COVID restrictions. We can have it to 50, but we're going to reduce it down to, I think, 40-ish. We're going to have 6 tables of 5. So we're going to be about 40 or 30 plus. So we're looking at doing that. We got 6 dungeon masters just doing an 8-hour game. And we're fundraising for a family that recently lost their mother and wife. And this family here, it's cancer related. And it really, my coworker's an awesome person. I don't want to mention their name because, again, I don't have their permission. But we're fundraising for this family. And a few weeks ago when I started the process, she was alive. She recently passed away, which saddens me because cancer is a bad thing. But we're going to do something good with what we're doing. So we anticipate that we're going to be full, and we charge for the event. We're also going to do a Chinese auction where people buy tickets and they put in their tickets into baskets and the prizes they want to win. So we'll have about 10 buckets, and you have maybe 20 tickets, and you can put them into whatever bucket that you want to have a chance to win. So why I'm saying D&Dbeyond is because D&Dbeyond, I got a hold of Lauren Urban, and I got in contact with her, and I told her what we were doing. And she said, once you get everything solidified, and we got everything solidified, our venue, our building with the Rod Miramichi, which the Rod Miramichi has donated for free, by the way. Just want to throw that out there. The Rod Miramichi, absolutely awesome. and they're giving us free coffee and tea, which is good because we need that to stay awake. So basically what we're doing is we're doing that. And D&Dbeyond, Lauren Urban, who is a big celebrity in Dungeons & Dragons. Huge. She's a part of the community portion of D&Dbeyond. So I wrote an email. She was a very lovely person. Can't talk enough how polite she was and how she's, very interested in what we're doing. So once I get everything solidified, got our Facebook up, it's session 0. Have a like. As many people as we can get, we'd love to have a lot of likes. I appreciate that. And I might post some of the pictures and maybe some video of what we're doing and trying to make it a fun event for a good cause. So getting back to the family, I also want to reiterate that my friend has 3 kids that are going to grow up in his care, and he's going to be a single father. So I think it's important that we try to fundraise as much as we can. So I'm going to also, so with the Chinese auction, D&Dbeyond has donated 3 packages of digital books, which is a value of $117 Canadian. And that's 3 books. There's 9 books in total, but they go into course sets, which each course set is a value of $117. And I just want to shout out to D&Dbeyond and Laura Urban for their generosity, and I thank them kindly. And I'm basically going to be sending pictures and thanks from our convention, and we're hoping to do this every 4 months. And what my goal is with the group of people that I do play D&D with is to donate to charity locally and to bring the D&D game out in the public so people can all have a chance to play. And I think it's a fantastic thing. So that being said, that's basically the end of my podcast. And I just want to say thank you so much for having an open mind for this podcast. I know Dungeons & Dragons, everyone looks at it really weird. So, there's different walks of life that play this. Business people that are low income, high income. It doesn't matter who you are. There's so many different people that play this game and enjoy the benefits of the game and enjoy the company. It really doesn't matter. So why not take a chance on it? Why not try Dungeons & Dragons? It could be the one thing that might help you with your anxiety or anything like that. Just to say that anybody can play. And just to list a few of the celebrities that actually do play Dungeons & Dragons. You have Vin Diesel, Matthew Lillard, Chris Hardwick, you have Stephen Colford, Mike Myers, Robin Williams did when he was alive. So many different celebrities did play this game. And it's just a normal game with normal people. So really, folks, you really have nothing to lose. Give it a try. It's a really easy game to play. There's starter sets to try it out. And maybe it's something that you really like. Maybe it'll be something that'll help with your anxiety, your depression, and other mental health challenges that you have in your life. So I'm here just to bring some other views and to think outside the box to help you with mental health challenges in your life. I really thank you very much for listening. I'm glad you had an open mind. Thank you very much for listening. This is Alan Hilchey. This is Chat Club. I'm going to talk to you really soon. Thank you.